Why was counter economics and agorism important for society?
Yeah, so this is where his work has its limits. So we don't really get any expression beyond, say, just traditional commitment to libertarian ideals. So that's where I think he isn't, say, the most expansive thinker. But what I think, like where I think it maybe relates to, say, crypto in general, is that if you think about something like crypto, which has similar aims, right? So the aims of crypto, like you could argue that the aim of crypto, at least in the beginning, was to expand the counter economy in terms of money, right? So we create this black market counter economic activity which challenges the fiat currency of the state. And then, to them, the end goal would be hyper Bitcoinization, where basically we transition away from the old economics and we end in the new economics. And then I also think an interesting connection between them is that you have this idea of, say, parallel building, or like parallel zones or autonomous zones. And I think if you look at, then if you like say we go up a little bit and we look at Ethereum, we see something like the attempt to create decentralized analogs to state functions. So DeFi is a form of decentralized. Basically, it's a form of finance that is being pitted against the centralized version of it. So that's sort of the appeal. And then with DAOs, it's organization, and then with NFTs, it's art. With art probably being a little bit like overlooked normally, but I think that's probably essential to the spirit of any real functioning society. A society without like that kind of art, like without any real appreciation for art, is probably not the wrong sort of path. So I like this idea that you can read cryptocurrency as the creation of these counter economic zones that are operating in parallel. And then what they're doing that Konkin talks about, but doesn't really give you any examples of. So he essentially says, right, that people will look at the agorist zones, they'll see everybody living free, and they'll think, okay, I want to live like that, right? So that to me is the way to be. But I don't think that that's really that realistic. I think most people probably have more of a preference for safety. We see that very, very commonly. But with crypto, if once you add in, like, so crypto is a rare example where I think that that's actually where there is actually some attraction, where you're saying to people, like, we are offering you something like, let's say, the ability to participate in finance, which you're normally excluded from because you're not an accredited investor, and that you may not even ever have thought of engaging in because you just presumed finance was for Wall Street, right? So before crypto came along, people didn't think, most people, the kinds of people you find in crypto today, right? Humanities people, social sciences people, everyday people, retail, just normal everyday folk. Like these are people who, up until 2010, which is the era, I guess, of the financialization with, say, Wall Street bets in the mix here as well, essentially just saw themselves as excluded from all of this kind of activity. And I see a similar thing with DAOs, where DAOs essentially says, well, you've effectively said at a certain point that I don't engage in self-governance, or that our communities don't govern in any real sophisticated manner, that kind of organization is for institutions or is for large-scale organizations. But we could do something similar like that. And then same with NFTs, where you have the sort of established centralized art world, which says that this is the appropriate way to do art. And you can come along now and you can give yourself royalties using smart contracts. So I think there is some, like, what he talks about doesn't really exist in his work, but in what we have with crypto is something like what he was hoping for. Interestingly, he does mention the possibility that in the future there might be, he says, if we can lick the encryption problem. So he has this just one small reference, but of course caught our eye because it's like, okay, he uses the word encryption. He talks about if we can find a way to use encryption, we could have markets which allow us to transact in a way where the state couldn't track us. So he did have some inkling, of maybe the direction it was going in, but probably had no idea just how out of control what Nakamoto built.